Okay, guys, we are recording. Hello, everybody. I'm Cindel Glenn. Rochelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Rochelle Slun. Cindel's actually my coach. She's been my coach for about a year now, and she's pretty awesome. So I'm excited for this group.
And Rochelle gives me like way too much credit. I have not done anything. This girl is like just totally taken everything she's had and like ran with it. And she's like teaching me now. So it's crazy. So welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for participating in our wonderful group, our Mission Nutrition. Now, you guys are all probably pretty familiar. And as you heard on our introductions in our group between Rochelle and I, both of us have recently finished the Whole30, which is a elimination diet, which is geared towards trying to figure out what exactly triggers you. So we have learned a ton from that. We've also completed 21 Day Fix. We've completed lots of other Beachbody programs. And we've been doing just a ton of reading to really put together a group that takes in a lot of different opinions and kind of combines it all as one. Sorry, my phone's ringing and I'm assuming it's a telemarketer because nobody calls our house aside from telemarketers. So we're going to ignore them. Anyways, but we've taken in a lot of different thoughts, opinions, dug into the research of the different things to put together a group for you guys that hopefully by the end of this, you get to customize your own nutrition. We're cutting out kind of the main food allergens, and then we're going to reintroduce. So 4 weeks, we're going to be totally clean eating. And when I say clean eating, I mean like, this is like the cleanest you're probably ever going to eat. Okay. And we're just going to kind of run with it. And then we're going to spend 2 weeks together reintroducing these things to see what triggers our bodies to have different reactions or different ailments, whether that's headaches, bloating, upset stomach, whatever it is. So before we start though, does anybody on this call have any specific questions? And you're welcome to just say them out loud, or if you'd like to type them in the chat box, that's just fine. Anything specific you'd like us to address tonight?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, well, hopefully we answer all the questions that you guys maybe don't even know you have. That's what I'm hoping. So.
I know Desiree had posted earlier about a approved snacks list. I know we talked about it, so.
Yeah, and I was kind of just interested in seeing specifically what was or wasn't okay, because I tend, like, if I don't have a specific list, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably eating things I shouldn't.
No.
I'm the same way.
I totally get it. We will talk about that tonight. And that's probably everybody's really big questions is, okay, what is okay to eat and what is not? And what did I get myself into? Maybe that's how we're all feeling right now, because I know that's how I felt when I first took on like the limit. Yeah. Even when I did the 21 Day Fix, did you guys feel that way? Those that have done the 21 Day Fix, like even then I was like, whoa, there's definitely, like, you get a better idea of what clean eating is. And this is now finally removing those typical allergen properties, removing that even from the clean eating. So now I kind of have my list here, so I'm gonna kind of go through it so I make sure I hit all the topics we want to talk about between Rochelle and I tonight. First off,
I'm gonna interrupt you quickly. Can everyone put their mute on? I just know you're cutting out if someone else is pulling up before you. So if everyone just wants to mute it, unless you have something to say, does that sound good? Cindel?
That sounds perfect.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are all muted. Okay, can everybody hear me okay? All right, I like thumbs up. Good deal. Okay, so first off, I wanted to kind of tell you guys why I took on the Whole30. Now, I kind of talked about this in my introduction and whatnot, but I was just having like just weird off issues between, like, all of a sudden I would have diarrhea, and then sometimes I'd be constipated, and lots of issues that I felt like I was much better than how I had been prior to starting on Shakeology and the 21 Day Fix, but there's still random things. Like, I would go perfect for a long time, and then all of a sudden something would trigger, and I just could never figure out what it was. And I know I said in my introduction, like, for example, pizza. There would be maybe a week that I would have a piece of pizza and I would be fine. And then 2 weeks later, we might have pizza again, and I was all of a sudden having wonderful digestive issues. And so, like, I couldn't figure out, I was like, why is it like caused by one thing versus another thing? And I'm like, it's the same kind of food, you know, it shouldn't, you know, I really wanted to figure out what exactly is triggering it. And sometimes I would get stomach cramps and pain. Sometimes I wouldn't at all. And I would just like have horrible, you know, wonderful stools and all that wonderful stuff. And you guys, I'm sorry, I'm a nurse, so you're just probably gonna get too much information from me at all times. And I'm just gonna apologize because that doesn't bother me at all. So, anyways, that's kind of why I took on the Whole30. Rochelle, why did you take on the Whole30?
Well, first off, I heard about it between you and Christy doing it, and right away I was like, no way. But then I started doing the research and figured out that if you have certain ailments or conditions, that it can benefit you from that. And for those of you who don't know me, I have endometriosis. I've had surgery on it twice. I had a surgery in 2011 and a surgery in 2015. And it's also covering my intestines, which they weren't able to remove. So I struggle a lot with IBS. But since I've been doing Beachbody, that actually has gone much better. I used to have to take Imodium with me everywhere I went, and I think I've taken it once in the last year. But back in January, I started noticing my endometriosis flaring up. I was having a lot of pelvic pain, so I wanted to see if any foods that I was eating was triggering that. And through my reintroduction, I did find that dairy is a huge trigger for me. And I was thinking it maybe be more like gluten and that sort of thing. And really, I've been tolerating that fine. So I'm really bummed because I'm a huge dairy person, but I'm working to see with like how much and what kinds of dairy that I can have. So still learning, but yeah.
And that's probably like something I want you guys all to really take into consideration is this is a learning process for all of us, and our bodies are constantly evolving and changing. And depending on our environment, depending on what's going on stress-wise in our life, like different things like that, it's amazing how much that does trigger digestive issues. So just kind of keep in mind, like everything's interconnected, and so much has to do with your gut health. Like your gut health is so key, you guys, to actually keeping you healthy, because 75% of our immune system, first off, lies within our gut. That is where we're fighting off bacteria, we're fighting off different microgens and pathogens that can get into our blood system, or just get into our body in general. That's where it's usually killed off, is in our digestive system. So our digestive health is so important. And yet, we as Americans, even though the World Health Organization has profoundly, basically flat out told us that the way we eat is terrible, we still continue to eat this way, and our FDA is not really caring. Like that sounds terrible, but there is so much control with like our food industries over what's actually publicized as what's healthy, what's not healthy. And a lot of times the foods that are issued to us as healthy foods aren't actually really that healthy for us. Or they have a ton of other additives in it, and like our canned goods, there's so many other things. So by the end of this challenge, you guys, you are going to be experts at reading labels, and it is unreal. Like you will be pretty floored at like all the different things that are put into our foods. Like it's just crazy. So let me make sure I'm staying on track here. Let's go over what we can and can't have. Let's start with that. That way, if you guys have questions, we can ask. I am going to share my screen with you all. Okay, now can I get some thumbs up if you guys can see our Facebook page? Okay, so here is our Mission Nutrition Facebook page, and I want you to look over here. There's the file section. Now I'm going to be uploading some more files tonight, but if you click on the files, you'll see that our nutrition guide is right here, and I am going to bring that up because I already have it up here, but you can open that up, and we want you to open this up and download it, you guys. So here is your nutrition guide for week number 1. There is going to be a different nutrition guide for each week throughout this. So you're going to get a total of 4 nutrition guides. And we're just going to talk about the nutrition guide real quick here. So right here on the first page, it just talks about how to use it. We want you printing it out. We want you to read it. Okay. So it's really important to actually read this. And you're going to take a good look at your week. Okay. You're going to look at what does your week look like? Are you going to be out of town? Are you going to be eating and out with friends and meeting up with people? Is there going to be times that you're like, I know I'm not going to be able to stick to the menu 100%. Really look at your week and how it's going to lay out. And then we will have an approved snacks list that will be uploaded, and you'll be able to find that in your file section. And you're going to put those into your weekly meal plan, which I'll show you in just a second. That'll make a little bit more sense. We want you looking through the menus and the recipes and kind of really decide, okay, are there foods on there that you're like, I cannot have, whether it's you're allergic to it or it's, I know I cannot stand, I don't know, bell peppers, like for example, or something like that. You can replace those different things. This is not something that's 100% set in stone where we're saying you have to eat these foods. This is on the menu. This is what you're eating. That is not the case at all. But we do want to have a good idea of like what a menu looks like when you're eating in kind of our approved way, so to speak. But you can replace things, okay? And replace things with equivalents. So if you don't like bell peppers, have cherry tomatoes, you know, different things like that. You can definitely sub things out. You can sub meats out if you're like, I have a surplus of, I think Christy said that she has a bunch of pork left over from graduation, and Ashley too. So you guys can use pork instead of chicken, you know, like that's okay. You can sub those different things. And we're okay with really any meats are totally fine as long as they're not processed meats. And we'll kind of go through that in a second here too. Let's see here, where did I leave off? Oh, and then you're going to decide the prep option. I will explain what that means here in a little bit as we go through this nutrition guide. And then you're going to look at your pantry, you guys. So when you're meal planning, I want you looking at look at all your groceries that you already have, look in your pantry, look everywhere, and you are going to basically decide what you already need, what you don't, okay? And then you're going to go grocery shopping and prepping. All right, so here is our meal plan, our guide for our meal plan for next week. Now you're going to notice for breakfast, we have Shakeology for everything. And we're going to talk about Shakeology here in just a minute, but this is kind of what your meal plan is this is what we're expecting you to kind of eat. Like I said, it's not set in stone, but we want your menu to look very similar to this. Now you're going to notice we have lots of veggies and lots of meat. So it's like tons of veggies, tons of protein. It's okay to have fruit. We're not saying you can't have fruit. You can definitely add those in as snacks and whatnot, but predominantly on the meal plan, you're probably going to see veggies and meat. The other thing I want you up here, if you can see my little cursor, you have a water goal. Water is so important, you guys. We want you to be like, your goal should be half of your body weight in ounces. That's what you want to be hitting every single day. And if you're like me, I have to force myself to drink water. I am a terrible water drinker. I am working on it all the time. And it's the times that, like, my daughter is exactly like me, and she's a terrible water drinker. It's the times that I'm going, have you drank any water? And I'm going, crap, if I drink any water. Like, I have to catch myself. Like, I have to always be pushing myself to be drinking water. But definitely make sure you're getting in and getting hydrated. So, okay, next page shows your grocery list. So we want you going through that pantry, like I said, and ticking off all the things. Most people are probably going to have vinegar and olive oil. I don't know if you'll have coconut oil. I know that's a staple in my house. A lot of these things, you guys, are total staples in my house, but I don't know if they're necessarily in yours. So this first week, you may go, this is a little bit more expensive than I was hoping, but the following weeks, like, they're all typically staple items that are making it a little bit more expensive the first week, like your coconut oils and like that type of stuff. But this is stuff that you're going to use throughout this entire month and into the next month, okay? So that is all there. One thing I want to talk to you guys about here is down here we have clarified butter. Does anybody know what clarified butter is? Any show of hands? Can you give me a thumbs up? I know now what it is. Clarified butter, or if you've heard of ghee is another word for it. Ghee is like an ultra clarified butter. Clarified butter is simply butter that has actually been boiled. And if you've ever thrown butter into a pan, you know how you get like that white foamy stuff that's on there? That's actually milk proteins. Butter is formed from milk, and those are the milk proteins. So what you do when you can clarify your own butter if you already have butter in the fridge and you're like, I don't want to go buy new butter. You can clarify your own. So you'll boil it and then you'll skim that stuff off the top. And I haven't looked on YouTube, but I'm sure we can find a video to like post in the group to show you how to do that. Or I'm pretty sure I have to clarify some butter here soon. So I'll do a video, one or the other. We'll do something like that so you guys understand what that means. Does anybody on this list, is there anything you guys see that you're like, oh, that's absolutely crazy, or anything like that? I'm sorry, I can't see everybody. I'm gonna guess that's a no. Nope. Okay. So we really are trying to keep these menus pretty simple, you guys. Like, we want it to be easy things that you should be able to find. And I'm in small town North Dakota, okay? So I wanted it to be things that I predominantly could get at my local grocery store, which my town has like 1,000 people in it. So, I mean, we're talking tiny town. Okay, and then also...
Were you able to find coconut aminos in Ellendale?
I wasn't. No, and actually
Okay.
I was finding in Aberdeen. So
yeah.
What are coconut aminos?
Here, let me grab my bottle. Hold on.
Where did you end up finding it? I ended up ordering mine on Amazon is where I got mine.
Hold on.
There's definitely like you learn so much about.
Here's mine. I found it at Swanson Health Products here in Fargo. I searched, but they're like in a completely organic place, and I figured they would have it. But basically, Kristen, it's like a soy sauce replacement. It doesn't have soy in it, and it doesn't taste like coconut either.
But it really does taste more like soy sauce to me. Like it's weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's made from coconut, so it's crazy.
Dang. Yep. Okay.
It's a nice replacement, you guys, because obviously we're cutting out soy. And I know in my preparation when I was doing just a lot of, just clean eating in general, we did a lot of stir fry, and soy sauce is something I put in a lot of stir fry. And I have PCOS. I try to avoid soy. So I was putting soy sauce on like my kids and my husband's stuff. And then I would use, is it Bragg's or something like that? I would use that. It's a non-soy one, but it also has a lot of other additive stuff in it that I just was like, well, it's a good replacement. So the coconut one is a really good one. And like I said, I had to order mine on Amazon because I couldn't find it anywhere. But I'm also a little bit of a Prime addict. I don't know about you guys, but I order way too much stuff on Amazon. Okay, the other thing I want you guys to know here is additional snacks and Shakeology items. So this whole menu, this is enough food for 2 people. So if you guys are planning on feeding your kids or your family with this, expect to be doubling these, or if you're just cooking for just yourself, half all of these numbers, okay? So keep that in mind when you take this grocery shopping. Print this out. Check off the things you already have and take it shopping with you because you don't want to just think that you're going to remember it. But then we did not include any snacks or your items that you're going to add to your Shakeology. So you definitely want to list off those different things that you're planning on having as snacks, whether that's apples, bananas, oranges, whatever. Okay, and then after that, this is our recipes, you guys. So this goes through and our recipes go on for a few pages. They're pretty simple, laid out. We didn't pick anything that was like extreme, like took a ton of time. I really didn't want anything that was like extremely time consuming. So those are all there. And then when I said pick your option for meal prep, this is what I was talking about. So you have 2 options for meal prep. So you're going to see option 1, a 1-day meal prep. And then the last page is an option 2 with daily preps. So essentially, with a 1-day meal prep, now this is what I'm going to attempt to do because I sometimes do like the daily ones and I always get frustrated because I end up with a messy kitchen every single day. But I know the weeks I do a 1-day meal prep, my kitchen isn't messy and I like actually get a lot more stuff done instead of cleaning my kitchen all day long. So you guys do whichever one works for you. We laid it out, so it's hopefully fairly simple for you to follow. But your 1-day meal prep, we start out by prepping our veggies. You're going to put the pork carnitas in, and Christy and Ashley, who have the leftover pork, that can obviously replace that. If you guys have something already in your fridge, if it's, beef or chicken or something like that you're like, oh, well, no, this needs to get used up, that's fine. You can replace those. That's fine. Or else use it for a different recipe. But this basically goes through and tells you step by step how you should plan out your day. And when you do a 1-day meal prep, you guys, it's going to take a few hours. Okay. I'm not going to be like sugarcoating this and be like, oh, it's so easy. You're going to make your kitchen a disaster one time, and it's going to take a long time to get everything done. And towards the end, you're going to be like, oh, this stinks. I hate doing this. But then the rest of the week is really simple and pretty carefree. It's a matter of just warming up foods. And if you're like me, who's at home with kids all the time, like it is so much easier when I can actually spend time with my kids. When before I would be rushing around trying to figure out what we were going to have for lunch, and I'm cooking lunch and doing all these different things. And all of a sudden I end up cooking like 3 meals a day for them, which is just frustrating. It really is. So this gives you 1 day, all of it, but it's going to take a few hours. So prepare for that. Then option 2 has daily preps. Now you're still going to do a prep at the beginning of the week to really set yourself up. So it's minimal, tiny preps each day. So you can see here, you're still on Sunday, you're going to prep your veggies. You're going to start a lot of the things that are going to be going on Monday. You're going to start your pork carnitas. You're going to do your Mexican tuna boat recipe. That stuff's going to be done. So then when it comes Monday, that's already done. You don't have to worry about that. So you're still going to take some time on Sunday, but then you can see here on Monday, we have for breakfast, you're going to do this, lunch, you're going to do this, dinner. And it's usually kind of the dinner, you're going to do extra things. And then anything listed after dinner is a little small prep to prepare you for the next days. Now, does that make sense to everybody? thumbs up, thumbs down? I hope I'm not confusing you. Okay, so that is our menu. So download this, you'll find that in that file section, and you're gonna print it off. Now, can everybody see this thing? It's Mission Nutrition, the can haves and can't haves. Can we get thumbs up if you guys can see this, okay? All right, so let's go through and actually break down what you can and can't have. I'm gonna make this a little smaller here. All right, so foods you can have: vegetables, all vegetables. This includes potatoes, you guys, which I know a lot of us are like, what? We can have potatoes? Like, they're like this horrible starchy thing, right? Potatoes are a root vegetable, and there's actually a lot of benefits to potatoes, but yes, you can have potatoes. Now, this does not mean you get to have potatoes with sour cream and butter and everything all over the top of them, but you can have potatoes, okay? Fruits, you can have any fruits you like. We want you to keep in mind, though, you're not going to be eating just fruit all the time, because it's really easy to jump into something like this and go, but I'm craving sugar, I want sugar, and you're just all of a sudden downing like 20 cutie oranges in one day, which my kids probably have done. I'm not even kidding. It's insane how much they love those things. But keep in mind, we want to kind of keep this in proportion. We want to keep those macronutrients in line too. So kind of think 2 servings of veggies to 1 serving of fruit, okay? And then unprocessed meats. So this is like your pork, your chicken, your beef, your roast beef, all those things you can have. And we have on here sausage and bacon is okay. Now, here's the deal with sausage and bacon though, guys. If you can find, we're going to stay with, sorry, we're going to try cutting this short. Sorry, it's like going to cut us off in 10 minutes here. If we get cut off, we can jump back in, or I'll try talking quicker. But if you can find a sausage or bacon that does not have added sugar to it, that does not have preservatives to it, please share, because they're almost impossible to find. Like, they just are. Rochelle, what did you guys do? You guys got a part of a pig, didn't you? And then you cut it yourself.
What Dylan did is he bought a pork belly from Costco that had no additives in it, and we actually sliced it into like bacon strips, and we fried it then and just seasoned it with our own seasonings, and you just have to make sure that there's no added sugar in those. But that's what we did, and it was amazing. It wasn't like true bacon because it wasn't cured and that sort of thing, but it was amazing. But I never did find a sausage that was approved.
We couldn't find anything that didn't have added stuff into it. And you guys, you can want to look, like Rochelle was saying, like, you want to even look at your spices, because there could be stuff in your spices that you don't even know is there. Okay, you can have seafood, you can have eggs, nuts and seeds. Those are totally fine. The one thing we do have on here is, sorry, people are just trying to get a hold of me tonight. Is peanuts. If you have any type of peanut intolerance, you maybe want to avoid these, but we don't have it excluded. You can have peanuts, but keep in mind, peanut butter, you're going to be doing unsweetened, okay? So everything, any of your butters, nut butters, anything like that are going to be unsweetened. Good fats, your olive oil, coconut oil, avocado, the ghee, the clarified butter, like we talked about, and you can have all the coffee and tea you want, but it has to be plain, okay, or black coffee, okay? I know that probably makes a lot of you nervous. Now, it is okay to like add some like almond milk or something like that to maybe cut a little bit. That's all right. But make sure you know what's in your almond milk, okay? Don't buy the regular almond milk that has added sugar. All right, foods you cannot have. Dairy, we are cutting out. So no cheese, no milk, no yogurt, no creams, none of that stuff. The only thing that you can have that is a form of dairy is the clarified butter. All glutinous grains, this is your wheat, rye, Milton, kind of all your typical grains that you find, like that are made with bread, in breads typically. Artificial sweeteners, there's so many names, and Rochelle posted about this earlier. There's like the 50 names. I think there's even close to like 100 names for artificial sweeteners. Get a little bit familiar with what those names are, you guys, and make sure you're reading those labels. You don't want to have any of those in. We're also cutting out the soy, so no soy lecithin, no soy milk, no soy proteins, those different things, any other byproducts, preservatives and processed thickeners. This is like your carrageenan, your MSGs, your sulfates, nitrates, all of those wonderful preservatives that you will be blown away is in almost every single type of packaged food. Like, it's crazy. And then anything that you would consider junk food. Now, if you consider it junk food, you probably shouldn't be having it, okay? Because more than likely it has one of these ingredients in it. And then foods that we have on our watch list, this is your non-glutinous grains. Steel cut oats. do not go out and get oatmeal that is like quick oats, you guys, or just even rolled oats. We want you, if you're going to do oatmeal, do steel cut oats. Quinoa, buckwheat, those are also ones that are non-glutinous grains. So those are ones you want to watch. Now, these are ones that we're saying are on our watch list. So a few of these things you're just not going to see on our meal menus, but some people will be totally fine eating these. And for me, gluten was a big trigger, but I'm totally fine eating steel cut oats. Okay. And the reason we want you to do steel cut oats is because a rolled oat or a quick oat are already processed down and there's less nutrients in them. So make sure you're getting something that's actually dense in nutrition. Okay. So legumes, these are any type of bean, essentially, we want on the to watch list. Now, legumes have like phytates in it, and they actually can prevent the absorption of nutrients, which is why the Whole30 book totally cuts them out completely. A lot of people don't have horrible reactions with legumes, but if you're one that you're like, I eat a bowl of chili and I am so gassy, you probably want to avoid this during these 28 days. Right. And then any other foods that you notice that affect you in some negative way, like I said, the legumes, if you get gassy from that, you should probably avoid it. And then the fourth one I have on here is natural sugars. Now I know Christina had mentioned or asked about the maple syrup and honey. And this was a conversation that Rochelle and I had because we were like, okay, yes, it's a natural thing and you find it in nature. And if you guys buy maple syrup, please buy real maple syrup. Don't buy like Aunt Jemima's, which is not like, it's corn syrup. Like it's not even maple syrup, buy real maple syrup if you're going to buy it. But for this challenge, we really want you to think about not doing any of those things because Rochelle and I's conversation was, okay, anytime we've been on like some type of restriction of, okay, well, you can't do all these processed things, but had honey or syrup in the cabinet. For me, I was like, I think I want more honey. And I would take a spoon and go eat honey. Like, that defeats the purpose, like completely defeats the purpose, you guys. So we don't want you guys doing this. Don't set yourselves up for it. So if you have it in your house, have your hubby or significant other hide it. Just don't do it. Okay. All right. I think that I'm going to stop my screen share here.
I have a quick question. Oh yeah, I have a quick question. So if you don't do syrups or honeys or anything, what are you putting on the pancakes that are in the meal plan?
We have nut butters on there. So like an unsweetened almond butter. And then there's also strawberries that are on the pancakes.
Okay. I've never tried that.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy actually and it's towards the end of the week. So you're going to it's amazing how quickly your taste buds will change. And when I had my first pancake after how many days and like the Whole30, you guys, you can't even do like the egg and banana pancakes. Like you can't do that at all. Like this would not be approved for it. But it's a clean thing. So we're adding it in. But with that, I was just like blown away. I was like, this is so sweet because the strawberries tasted amazing and the nut butter, like it was just a perfect combination. So I hope that you have the same experience with that once you kind of detox those taste buds. Rochelle, did you want to talk about dining out? I know we kind of talked about that a little bit. Sorry, we are like so short on time. I apologize. I talk way too much.
Oh, I'll try and make this as fast as I can. During my Whole30, the first 2 weeks, I had a lot of things thrown at me, and I ended up having to eat out for a lot of them with my husband's grandpa passing away. One thing I did is I purchased my own dressing or made my own dressing, and I found the Tessemae's after a couple days in, which is made with whole ingredients. I would actually, people thought I was crazy, but I would literally bring a cooler, a little mini cooler, and I would bring my own dressing. And typically I would order a protein with the meal. My go-to was ordering a burger with an egg on top and then getting a side salad and making sure they didn't have any added croutons and cheese and that sort of thing. And then I had my dressing. Let's see, what was some of my, I would typically, everyone was like, Rochelle, where do you want to eat? It was up to me. I would jump online and actually research the restaurants and kind of see what had the best options. So those are two of my tricks, and yeah. So do you have anything to add to that, Sindel?
Sorry, I'm updating this real quick.
No.
What did you do then did you get a lot of like comments when you were, obviously you were at your funeral and whatnot and around a lot of people? Did a lot of people make comments to you, or was it hard for you?
Actually wasn't that bad. Everyone's just like, wow, like way to go. Like you have way more willpower than I would. And I'm like, seriously, like anyone can do it. never imagined that I could do it, but as long as you set yourself up for success, then you should be good. And the biggest thing was and another thing, yeah, with dressings, if I didn't bring my own, I would order olive oil and vinegar. And I know you had done that, Sindel, too, if I did forget it or whatnot. But I surprisingly wasn't too judged in a negative way. My brother-in-law laughed every time I would whip out my dressing and put it on my salad, but that was probably the worst of it. So
did you just bring it with you like in a small container then anywhere you went?
yeah, pretty much. Or I'd bring the whole bottle. It was really good to dunk veggies in too, because like when we went to the and we had the like after dinner after the funeral, they had basically like they had Swedish meatballs, which I couldn't have because I was covered in gravy. So it was basically fruited veggies. So then I had the Tessemae dressings are pretty much a fat, so that was considered a good fat then, so I could dunk the veggies in there. So yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. I know I got a lot of comments from people because they were just like, you're doing what? And sometimes people like to make a lot of comments about your food, you guys, when you're eating out that are just kind of rude. And I didn't have a ton of it, but I just had one incident where I was like, you know what? It really doesn't matter what your opinion is. And you don't want to get like defensive over it. And for me, it was really nice that my husband was going along with it. And Rochelle, you had that experience with your husband too. So you guys, if you don't have a spouse, or if you have a spouse, excuse me, or a significant other that you're living with and they're not following along, be prepared that it's going to be a little bit harder for you. Okay. Like it's not going to be just like this walk in the park. They're probably going to complain a little bit. And even my husband, who was on board for this, was still like, we have to do what? Like he was so ticked off about this egg and pancake thing, you guys. Like he loves he loves baked goods. And he was so mad that he's like, but it's eggs and bananas. Why can't you make this? And I was like, I get it. But that's partially why we're letting you guys do it and not following those rules with 30. But most people are okay with it. All right. Anyways, okay. Dining out. Let me see what else. Okay. Let's talk about expectations for this group and Shakeology are the last two things I have on my list to cover. So let's talk Shakeology first, actually. So Shakeology, who here has done Shakeology? I think everybody on here. Kristen, have you done Shakeology?
My Kristen?
Yes.
Yes, she has. She's been doing it for a while. She just texted me and they got their food, so I don't know if she can hear us 100%. So,
well, all of you guys that are on here. It's the mom. Sorry.
I'm listening, but I'm sitting in this bar right now, so I just got it on mute and I have the picture turned off so nobody can see.
That's totally fine. So obviously we're all fans of Shakeology. Everybody that's on this call has done Shakeology, but there's going to be people that are watching this recording that have not done Shakeology before. Now, Shakeology I could go on and on about all the benefits of it. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to tell you though, is it is different than other meal replacement shakes. Other meal replacement shakes have emulsifiers in them. They have things like maltodextrin is like probably one of the prime emulsifiers that it thickens it. It also makes it taste sweeter. So if you have any other shakes, like please go through them and look at what's actually in them, because it's crazy how many big companies that are honestly billion-dollar companies that give their people not the greatest products. So please look through those things if you do have other supplements you're looking at. So the thing with Shakeology though, is it's not something you can just throw in a shaker cup and shake it up. Well, I shouldn't say you can't do that. You can do that. I actually have two brother-in-laws that's how they drink it, and they could care. That's what you drink it too. Christina, do you never blend it? Ever?
Not anymore. I usually mix it up the night before I go to work and shake it in my shaker cup and put it in my lunch bag and drink it the next day.
I have to have mine blended. Like I can drink it shaken, like it's okay. I do it for the nutritional benefits. I don't enjoy it. So
I don't like how thick it gets.
Oh, and
I make it runny like chocolate milk.
And I double my liquid so it's runny. So
my husband's the same way, Christina. He does not like it blended either. And I typically most days don't blend it either. I do it on my day off. I blend it, but I don't like to run the blender at 6 a.m. when my son's still sleeping. So
I'll have noise machines in the room specifically so I can hit my blender right outside the room and they don't even hear it. Okay.
That's awesome.
I guess. find a way that works good for you. It's going to be a little bit of trial and error. Some people obviously like it shaken. Me, I do not like it shaken at all. And I, like Christina was saying, like she likes it thinner. I double my liquid, so it's thinner in mine. But find the way that works good for you. And there's so many recipes out there you can use. You can add a banana to it. You can add different things if you want. But find the one that works good for you. Also, keep in mind that you're not going to see like this instantaneous changes, and you might notice some digestive things going on right away. That's because it has a lot of prebiotics in it and a lot of probiotics in it and a lot of digestive enzymes. Now, some people will be like, was it supposed to give me a little bit of diarrhea, like looser stools right away? You might notice those the first few days. Give yourself a week for your body to really adjust to it and really adjust to that increase. And also with all of this stuff we're doing, we're increasing our fiber like crazy, you guys, and we're cutting out a lot of that stuff that would really bulk up our stools. So obviously fiber increases it, but there's also the other additives, the preservatives, and all those other things that our body just doesn't absorb well. It's going to make your stools different. So I'm just going to put that out there right now. Just be prepared for it. Okay. But find the way that works good for you, and don't give up on it just the first time you try it. All right. So expectations for the group, what to expect from Rochelle and I, and then what our expectations are from you. Do you want to do either of these? I feel like I'm talking a lot, Rochelle.
I'll have you roll with this one because I don't know exactly what in specific. Sorry.
Let's first talk about your guys' expectations from us. You're going to expect to see that we are going to be posting in our groups at least one type of morning post where it's going to be some type of motivational, inspirational. Predominantly, they're going to be educational, though, posts. And then you're also going to see us just showing up. We are going to be showing up. We're going to be posting in our check-ins. You're going to see a check-in from us every single night. And it's kind of our expectation that you decide to take 5 to 10 minutes out of your day and actually check into the group. We don't expect you to live within this group and have to be checking into it all the time, but this is a safe place where if you're having a bad day or you're going through the break room at work and you're like, wow, there is 2 boxes of amazing looking donuts. You can snap a picture and put it in the group and be like, wow, guys, look at the temptation I have today, and sometimes when you can do that, it makes it a little bit easier to walk on by those donuts, okay? Because I've been there, done that, and there's times where you're sitting down with your coworkers and they are devouring stuff that looks amazing and delicious, and you're like, I can't have that, dang it. Okay, but this is that safe place where you can throw that information and be like, this really stinks right now, okay? This is also the place that you get to celebrate and be like, I made it through a whole week and I didn't cheat. Like, this is that place. We do not expect you guys to be perfect with this. We don't expect perfection. Absolutely not. We will never expect perfection from you, but we do expect you to show up, and we do expect you to try your best. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, Rochelle and I will both give you probably a little bit of tough love. Now, that being said, both of us are pretty nice. We are, or at least I think we are. And we're going to ask you your permission, to give you a little bit of tough love, because there are times that I know with my challengers and I know with Rochelle's challengers that sometimes we make excuses and we want the out. We don't want to give you that out, you guys. We want you to stick with us and see how it goes, because we don't want you to start over. We don't want you to go, oh, well, I did it for a week and then have to start all over again. No, let's do this 28 days. You can do this. There is not even the tiniest little crumb in my mind that says you can't do this. I know you can do this. If I can do this, if Rochelle can do this, when she had, seriously, her husband's grandpa passed away and they were at funerals, and can you imagine the emotions that we're going through? And she made it through this. There is never a perfect time to do an elimination diet, ever. But that being said, we know you are capable of doing it and sticking to it. And if you have questions about hey, I want to try this, what is this approved? Post it in the group, tag us. We will answer that as quickly as we possibly can. Okay. All right. That's kind of the expectations. Questions, guys?
I do have a question. When you were mentioning earlier about if there's any foods that specifically make you gassy, then probably avoid them. So I have been noticing lately, I've been buying this bag of boiled eggs that are already hard boiled, and the same with a lot of green vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts, and I don't know, a couple of those things. They've been making me really gassy, but I love them, so I don't really know what
Okay, so we are going to put together a list. Thank you for bringing this up actually, because I did not mention this. We will have a list of things that could be possibilities or possible triggers. So people that have like headaches and migraines, for example, there's a specific list of foods that you should probably avoid. IBS is another one. And the type of veggies you're describing I'm going to totally butcher the name. It starts with a C. It's like, do you know what word I'm talking about, Shell?
But like the FODMAPs or FODMAPs, something like that. That's what I call them anyways, where they,
I'm sorry.
sorry, no. Let me,
It's like crucis something or
oh, yeah. I think both are like terminology or.
I can't find it. Doesn't matter. Okay, but they are all the ones that you just listed, though, Christina. Those are specific types of food, type of vegetable, and they do tend to make people more gassy. Now, people with irritable bowel syndrome, with Rochelle, you maybe have a little bit of relation with this because of how you digest it. It sometimes just makes you gassy. So if you have those symptoms of more like that irritable bowel syndrome type symptoms, they might just be foods you want to avoid. And even if you're avoiding this for a week and then try it again, so you're going to see those type of foods on our menus. You're just going to want to replace those with something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you're going to know when you're making these and you're using strictly the whole vegetables and not any other additives or stuff like that. You're going to know, okay, was specifically this, because I know I said in my like introduction video, for me, salmon does not sit well, like at all. Salmon is so bad. And I would not have known that had I not isolated out all these other things that could have possibly been triggering it. So I think you'll get a better grasp if it is those specific vegetables or if it's a combination of everything at once.
Well, the reason I say those specific ones is because when I'm gassy, they literally smell like those. Like fresh on a plate broccoli. And I'm like, that's weird.
That's
Yeah.
weird.
With my experience, which is weird, I used to, with cabbage and broccoli, and eggs made me extremely gassy. I literally lived off of cabbage. Probably the last 2 weeks, I didn't have an ounce of gas. And I used to consume a lot of dairy and never really noticed I had gas. But when I reintroduced dairy, it was the worst gas I've had in my entire life. So it was weird how that kind of completely switched during my whole 30. So.
And you're healing your gut. Like we're giving
Right.
That's a rest, you guys. Like most of us are living in a state of chronic inflammation. So you might notice that maybe it's other things that's triggering it. So it is, irritating that gut lining. And those are all vegetables that are known to cause gas. Mm-hmm. But are they actually causing gas because you're intolerant to them, or are they causing gas because your intestinal lining is already irritated and it just can't digest it, so it's just pushing it out? Mm-hmm. So this will help you learn if that's actually the case. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm so excited. Thank you guys for taking some time with us. I know this ran a little bit longer than we anticipated, but does anybody else have any questions before we sign off?
What about juicing? My son and I like to juice.
I would probably recommend not doing a lot of juice. You can use juice to like sweeten things. So like if you were doing, like we have a chia pudding recipe in one of the menus, you could like add a little juice to that to maybe sweeten it a little bit. But when you do juicing, basically, Nyla, what you're doing is taking the fruit sugar and that's all you're taking in. So it's a lot of sugar, and there's not a lot of fiber in there when you're juicing. And a lot of times when you're drinking even just like straight fruit juice or whatever, even if it's like a Simply Orange or Simply Apple, which is just fresh pressed juice, or if you're juicing at home, a lot of that sugar is just getting shunted over to your liver and it causes a lot of issues with it. So I would say don't do any juicing during this month. You can reintroduce it, once we are into that 2 weeks reintroduction, and see how your body like kind of digests it. And it's probably going to tolerate it fine. But I would say just to totally clean this out and make sure that we're kind of in the minimal sugar and our body's processing it with fiber at least, I would say don't do it during these 4 weeks. Is that okay?
Yep.
That's a great question, though. I so appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Jesse, do you have any questions before we jump off? All right. Well, I'm really excited for all of you, and please reach out. You guys know how to get a hold of us, because I know there's going to be days that this is not exactly going to be the funnest time, but you guys are going to rock it. Okay. It's going to be so fun once we are done with the 4 weeks and we can reintroduce and actually find out what triggers us. All right. Peace out, guys. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.